housing starts month on month in September come in soft, negative 4.7% month on month. The expectation, the estimate, negative 0.4. The print then, negative 4.7%. Building permits month on month. The expectation, the estimate, negative 2.1%. It comes in at negative 4.5%. And there's a downward revision on that building permits number month on month as well, from 5.7 positive to positive 3.4. But a soft read then on housing starts and building permits for the month of September, Alex. You just wonder how noisy this data on housing is going to be over the next couple of months.
Yeah, but interesting that it was broad-based. Single-family starts and multifamily starts both getting hit, and it sort of tracks with the weaker home data that we've seen recently. So for more, let's bring in Michelle Meyer, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, head of U.S. economics, and Shahab Jalanous of Credit Suisse is still with us. Michelle, John talked about noise. That's the hurricane. Walk us through the impact on the housing data.
Sure. So presumably part of this weakness has to do with the hurricane. I think it'll be important to look even closer at the regional cuts to see if their weakness was concentrated in the South in particular. And then once you can get into the state level data, you'll have a better understanding if it's Florida and Texas. But, you know, big natural disasters tend to impact the housing statistics the most, and they tend to be the most persistent. So if you're thinking about housing starts and building permits, if there's, obviously weather issues, it's going to be very hard to lay foundations, very hard to start a new property. Even for home sales, it's going to be hard to look for that new property. So presumably you're going to see this drag to the housing data for the next few months, and that's what we've penciled into our forecast. After the hurricane, we took down our forecast for home sales, and we were already below consensus for housing starts, so we're comfortable with that.
And I should point out that that chart came from you, and it sort of deconstructs the South and where the strength is in the housing market. A lot of that's Florida, a lot of that's Texas. So you got two key pillars taken out there. And month on month, the South was down by about 9%. Single family home, though, down by 15%. When do we get a change? When do we get a shift? Because this does coincide with weaker data we saw even before the hurricane.
We did, yeah. So we started to see some softer data around housing, and part of that was seasonal. So if you think about the first quarter, the year started off with a bang. The housing starts numbers looked really strong. The home sales numbers looked really strong. But a lot of that was weather. So, you had warmer than expected winter weather, and that pull forward activity from the spring, and then you had a soft patch in the spring, and then some bouncing around. So for the full year, housing starts will be up. Single family will actually probably be up around 8 to 10%, depending on what happens the next few months. But multifamily is likely to be down. And I think that's actually the key story of this year relative to the prior few years of the recovery, is that multifamily construction has likely peaked, and now we're seeing some downtrend.